and welcome to another episode of In the Wheels, the show that champions all riders, from world champs to weekend warriors, where everyone has their story to tell. And the story we are telling is that of Elynor Bäckstedt's cycling journey. She's born to two professional cyclists herself, but you get to hear about all her career highlights, how a planned move in a race had an unplanned accomplishment, how she rode for an iconic Welsh team, and how that helped show her the dedication required to make it. And it's just truly an inspirational story, and one that hopefully inspires the next generation, as that's very central to Elynor's ethos. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride.
Hi, thank you so much for joining me today. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm really good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, gladly. It's great, meeting you at Rouleur and seeing that as a complete, chance encounter. How was that evening for you, actually? Because, as a fan, we get one perspective of that sort of evening. But, how are those industry evenings for you?
Yeah, it was really nice to meet you there. And like you said, completely by chance, but it was the perfect lineup. It was a really, really fun evening. It's not that often that we get to kind of come and give back to our sponsors and stuff, and to kind of meet people who we wouldn't necessarily get the proper time to speak with when we're kind of at races and stuff. So I really, really enjoyed just interacting with people and meeting new people and inspiring young girls to kind of get on bikes. And I always just really enjoy chatting with people, because like I said before, we really don't get that opportunity that much, because we're normally either passing or it's a quick signature before we kind of go to the start. So to kind of take the time to speak with the people who actually come to the races to support us, I think it's really important. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. And my husband was there doing the media, so it was kind of a little family thing for us, which was really fun.
Wow. And you've already touched on two things that I'm going to mention anyway. So that's kind of come up nicely of you say about wanting to inspire girls to get into riding. What got you into riding? It feels like it could be an obvious question, but I don't know.
Well, I just kind of fell into it really through family. I can't remember a time where I haven't ridden a bike. And I think it just kind of was the natural progression for me throughout my, life. My parents didn't think that I would fall into cycling, the same with my sister, which I don't know how they thought that, because it seemed like an obvious thing, but we just kind of fell in love with it. And as I got older, it was more and more becoming a thing that could actually be a job for women, and that was really, really nice to see, because growing up, we didn't have that much coverage on TV, so you kind of grew up idolizing the men's side of the sport, and the older I got, the more exposure women's cycling got, and it kind of inspired me to then do this as a job, and now I hope to inspire younger people as well.
Oh, that's amazing, because a lot of people will go, well, clearly Backstedt is a famous name, and focus on your dad, but I was looking at your mum's Palmares, and she's done some bit. She won in stages of Britannia and Thailander Tour, which are both they're not easy races.
No, a lot of people forget to research my mum, so I'm really happy that you did that, because I think she doesn't get the credit that she deserves. So both my parents came from a cycling background, so like I said, it was kind of the natural thing for us. So to have them both as role models, it did help me have a lot of respect for that side of the women's sport, because she grew up in cycling where it wasn't a job. She kind of had to have a second or a third job on the side of that. So I think where I joined elite cycling in 2020 was really quite a pivotal moment, because I was racing with people who, grew up in my mum's era or slightly later in cycling, so where they didn't kind of make a livable wage off it. But I also then was amongst my peers who joined in a time where actually it was a livable wage. So I think it helps me really have like the perspective to respect those who came before me and to kind of treat them with respect, treat them with care, and to know that actually it's a difficult time seeing young people coming in and making money immediately, but also to kind of be able to thank them for what they did, because if they didn't go through that, I wouldn't be in the position where I am today to be able to call it my full-time job. So I really kind of appreciate the fact that, you know, my mum did talk to me about that, and I was able to kind of see cycling through both lenses.
Yeah, and it's kind of, again, that history kind of gets me onto a point of like, does it, because I can imagine it's really helpful having professional cyclists as parents, because you're like, oh, they've been there, they've done this, they know what I'm feeling doing these junior races.
Mm-hmm.
But can it also be like maybe a double-edged sword, because you're like, they can tell you, oh, I wouldn't have done that, and you can't really them off, because like if I tell my daughter like, oh, I wouldn't have chased that breakaway, you know, in this hypothetical situation where she's riding, like she could go, well, yeah, you weren't a pro, so what do you know? Whereas like you can't really, you've not got that out.
Yeah, that's true. I think my parents have been really great of not pressuring us into any situations, because I think they wanted us that if we were going to do cycling, to do it because we loved it and not just because they did it. You know, they've never been the pushy parents. They've never put us in situations where we didn't want to be in. If we didn't want to go to a race, we didn't go. But if we went, they wanted us to give 100%, whether that was us winning, whether that was us coming last. If we didn't give 100%, that was when there was more of a problem. But I think that kind of helps you create a really good work ethic and to kind of respect the commitments that you made to go and, you know, respect your teammates, to respect them, and to really just give 100% for yourself as well. So I really appreciated the fact that they never forced us to do it. And I think that really helped us grow the love for the sport, rather than if they had kind of been that parent, you know, shouting really, really hard on the sides or telling you all the moves to make. I think we wouldn't have had that same healthy relationship with the sport, and maybe we wouldn't be in this situation. So, you know, they gave us tactical advice. They helped us if we wanted to know improvements, or maybe if we'd done something wrong, and still to this day, but in a way to help us learn, not to kind of tell us off. And I think that's been something that I've been really grateful for growing up, that it's not like, oh, well, I would have done this. And, you know, especially my dad, I think he sees, first of all, women's cycling and men's cycling have been so different. Okay, it's turning more and more into the same kind of sport now. But he really has kind of the eye to see that, okay, it's two different things, but also to kind of know that the sport has evolved and is growing and is growing and is growing. So I think he's kind of able to coach us in a way that he's learning, but he's also helping us learn, and he's helping us learn things that actually maybe people who've come into the sport now wouldn't know, because we're learning some old school things, and we have learned some old school things, and that's really helped me in some situations too. So yeah, I'm just grateful that they never pushed us into doing cycling, and yeah, that I have the good relationship with the sport that I have now.
Oh, that's so like heartwarming to hear, and I can certainly, like, obviously you've mentioned it, like the respect that you kind of have both for your parents and for your sport. And so those first steps were with like Maindy Flyers, I believe.
Yeah.
And which I swear is like a club where you're gonna find families or like siblings, because the Barkers are from there,
Yeah.
right? And the Tarlings. And
Yeah.
it's like
they
it's just
started off
siblings
in
all the way
Carmarthen.
down.
Pardon?
It's just siblings all the way down.
Absolutely, yeah.
So yeah, what was it like getting started at the club scene? Like, was it the weekly 10 that everyone seems to have started with, or like how did that sort of first foray go?
I think I first went to Maindy when I was about 7. So not
Wow.
quite the age for the weekly 10, but they did a really good job with young and older riders, but specifically young riders, making the sessions really fun. Lots of skill sessions with the cones because it's on a velodrome, an outdoor velodrome. So, we'd do cornering lessons. We'd do like chain gangs, and you'd have like 3 groups of different speeds. So they did a really great job at kind of accommodating for all age groups in a one session. You'd have different sections where you'd split off, and the sessions were just really fun. We'd go on a Tuesday, and then there was track riding on a Thursday, and during the summer then they'd have like what they called a mini league, where it'd be like different races, little omniums and stuff, and they'd have a road one and then they'd have a track one, and it just made the racing really fun. You were just there with your friends. There was lots of girls there as well, which really, really helped. And, you don't feel like you're the only girl in a group full of boys. So, it was just a really, really great time. And I stayed there until I was, I think, 15 or 16. So I really kind of grew up in Maindy Flyers. And like you said, there's been loads of cycling families who've come through there. And I think you feel that in that club. You feel the kind of history, and you feel that they're proud of all their riders, not just the ones that make it into elite sport, but sorry, it's my dog in the background. But kind of the ones that don't as well, and the ones that are there just for a time, and they learn the dedication and they learn commitment, and they build friendships there that they might carry through. So I really, really enjoyed my time there, and it was definitely like pivotal to my cycling.
Yeah, and then obviously going up through the ranks, becoming a junior, like obviously all the youth racing that you do in the UK. I still remember doing the Isle of Man Youth Tour, which I think is still maybe going, but I can't remember.
I don't know now.
Yeah, but it's like that's always like a crazy week, sort of getting across to the island.
Yeah, that boat is something else.
Oh my god, yeah. Like I don't know what your experience was, but like there was people were unwell, shall we say?
Yeah, I remember seeing the sky one time and then the sea the next out of the window.
Yeah, I remember like because it's not the biggest. I mean, it's a ferry. It's not going to be resplendent with lots of bathroom space. People were using sinks and toilets. Like one guy just missed and got the door or something. Like,
it's an experience, that boat, for sure. It's character.
Yeah. And then because we travelled on the day of a prologue, we had to do do the Douglas Promenade that night, which was
yeah. It's a fun weekend though, because you kind of don't get that many stage races in the UK when you're younger, especially ones that aren't on motor racing circuits. So it was definitely one of those races that, like, as a kid, you really looked forward to, because it kind of gave you that glimpse of what like a cycling race and life could actually be like, where you'd kind of travel round to the start in different locations. And yeah, I have a lot of nice memories from that race.
Yeah, it's such a good time. And I think the first race though that shows up on your kind of first cycling page is Rassenman. As I think technically though the age means you would have been a youth rider, but I don't know. I'm not going to question the exact.
I think I had a dispensation to be able to race up, because if you kind of had enough points at that age, you could race in specific races. So I seem to remember I was quite young. We took quite a young team with my dad's team at that time, because it was kind of the only race that was a real stage race with longer races and kind of out in the roads with mountaintop finish. Like, it was a really, really good race, and I remember really, really enjoying it. And it was, nothing like we could kind of have access to as a youth. So I seem to remember there was quite a couple of us who were maybe under 16s or juniors or around that age, racing there. And I have really, really fond memories of that race, actually. I think I did it twice, maybe.
That's what the results show.
Yeah. It was really, really good race.
Good. And then, yeah, as a junior, you medalled at the Worlds twice, which is like, that's crazy. A bit of a pop quiz for you, because I found this really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So the first year you did it, 2018,
Mm-hmm.
you came third. Do you
Mm-hmm.
know who came last that year?
I don't.
It is the current women's world champion, Magdalene Valliere.
Is it? Wow.
Certainly according to the result sheet I saw, yeah.
Wow.
Which is like mad for me, because like I guess it shows the kind of beauty in the sport. Like,
Absolutely. And the
not everyone
growth,
has the same. Yeah,
kind of what hard work and dedication and great support can get you, you know, like it also goes to show that even if you're the best one year, it doesn't mean you're going to be the best next year. But if you're the worst one year, it doesn't mean that you're going to be the worst the next year. So I love that in cycling, that, you know, there is such growth person to person, but also in the sport in general, and that like it can really get you so far. And look at her now, like what a race that was to watch. You know, I was shouting so hard for her, and you know, we've never been teammates or anything, but I really like the way that she races. I really like that it was such a gutsy move and it paid off, you know. So yeah, chapeau to her, because that was a great race, and it's really nice to actually hear that fact, because what an amazing achievement now.
yeah. It's just like mad, because like you'd never expect it, and it's like, I guess it's that. I assume you know the popcorn analogy of like, even if you're in the same pan, like popcorn pops at different rates. It doesn't
Absolutely.
like, and theoretically, it should all be the same. Mind you, that would be insane if they just all popped
All popped
en
at once.
masse.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm now having vision. Anyway, so like, obviously you did worlds twice as a junior,
Hmm.
and then you made the step up to, well, actually more junior races. Actually, I'll talk about. You won Gent Wevelgem solo.
Hmm.
What was that feeling like?
Oh, that was a long time ago now.
Yeah,
No, that was a really, really cool race. It was, yeah. I don't think I'd ever felt so good on the bike until that day. I remember just feeling like I have really, really good legs today, and we did loops. I think it must have been like 15K, and I remember that the like finish line section was cobbles, and you had these two paths down the side that you could ride on, but then through the finish you had to go onto the cobbles and you had to stay there until afterwards, and there was like a sharp left corner or I don't know, something after that. And I was like, right, if I just go really hard down this side, because then it has to go single file on each side, unless you want to ride the cobbles the whole way, which isn't really that effective. If I go really hard at the front down here, and then I just really commit to the cobbles, maybe I can break it up a bit. I thought, you know, I might have like a group of 10 or something left, and then we can kind of go from there. And I took the corner and I looked behind and I was by myself. And I was like, okay, I guess we're going solo now. And I think I had 15 seconds the whole way, and I just rode as hard as I could for that whole 15K. And I didn't know if I was going to get caught. I had no idea, because also we don't have radios as a junior. So I was literally in no man's land, just riding my little heart out. And obviously, when you kind of are getting to the finish, it gets faster and faster and faster in the bunch, because teams are doing like little lead outs, kind of as you do as a junior, and sprinters are sprinting. And, you know, in general, it just gets faster with like the anticipation. So I was like, I'm going to get swamped on the line. I'm going to get swamped on the line. And I looked behind in the finishing straight, and I didn't. I was just kind of in shock that I actually made it that far. And my sister actually won that day as well. So we got to go to like the big stage together. I think it's in Wevelgem, the stage, and kind of go on the podium with all the elite riders together. And yeah, that was a really like nice memory that I have.
yeah. Speaking of which, like, because I was scrolling Instagram just as a bit of research. I saw there's a really nice pic of you and Zoe when, like, I think she'd won at Castle Combe as like a 10-year-old,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like I just found it really lovely as well, of like that love for each other,
Mm-hmm.
of like kind of pride, I guess would be the
Completely.
best
I'm
word.
so proud of her and all of her achievements and her dedication. And I think it can be quite difficult because people try to compare us sometimes and try to kind of see if there's any animosity between us or any gossip of, like, you know, if she wins something. But she's my baby sister at the end of the day. And, you know, she worked so hard for the achievements that she has. And, you know, I couldn't be more proud of her. And I know that she feels the same about me, and she's supported me in every injury that I've had, every piece of bad luck that I've had, and, you know, vice versa. And she always speaks really, you know, fondly of me and, you know, the work that I do as well. And we have that mutual respect for each other. And I think that's so important for siblings, especially when you are like doing the same job. So yeah, she's, you know, she's my baby sister. I'm going to be proud of her no matter what.
Yeah, of course. Like, would you ever want to ride on the same team as her, or are you like happier that you're kind of allowed to be yourselves by being on separate teams?
I think at the start we both wanted to kind of find our feet by ourselves, because I think it's really important to kind of establish the roles that you're good at and also establish your personality and grow up. You know, we both joined the world tour when we were like 18, so you kind of, it's nice to kind of grow by yourself first. But I think, you know, in the future it would be really nice to be teammates with each other, because I think we have that connection that we would complement each other really well on the bike. So never say never, but obviously for the moment we're happy in our separate teams.
Yeah, awesome. And then, like, you mentioned going up to World Tour. Like, how did that kind of contract? Because maybe people aren't interested, but it always interests me, like, how contracts and that side of things come about. And, you know, you got signed by Trek Segafredo at the time. Like, yeah, like, how did even conversations come about? Like, yeah, were they the only team interested?
So I actually had a manager. Her name's Emma. You probably spoke with her, Emma Wade,
Yeah.
or Abel now, from Bespoke M. And we met after, I think, the Tour of Yorkshire in my last year as a junior, because I was also able to ride up in that race then. And we kind of got chatting then, and I felt like, okay, I really needed someone to kind of help me, because I didn't want to go to the world tour and, you know, be signed because I'm a Backstedt. I wanted to be signed because I'm worth it, and that the team want me, and, you know, they want me for me, and they want to help develop me and grow me and all of that. You know, I didn't want to go based off my dad's connections, and he very much respected that. And he said, okay, we need to find you someone that can do that and help you with that aside from me, and I can just be dad and help you and support you if you need that, but kind of let you do that for yourself. So, you know, we made a list of teams that we wanted to talk to, and ironically, Trek wasn't one at that point, because the team had only been going for 1 year. So Emma had a lot of riders in there, and she was like, I don't think they have space because they've only been going for a year and the team is full. And actually, one of the DS's, Ina Tutenberg, she reached out and she asked if I wanted to have a call, and obviously I said yes. So we had a call together, and I really liked the values that they had, the riders that they had. And, you know, there was a mix of ages where I could learn from a lot of big stars, but I could also, you know, have a couple of younger people there to kind of be more, you know, understanding of my situation as well, because they've not gone through that, not that far away. So in the end, obviously, I ended up signing there, and it was really great learning years in that team. You know, having Lizzie, having Ellen, having Eliza, who's still my teammate to this day. Like, it was really great in growing my knowledge and my confidence. in the end, my first year at Trek was quite a challenge because I broke my leg. So, key cycling limb, but they were so supportive in kind of helping my rehab, not pressuring me into getting back too soon. And I think that was a really great place to start my career. So yeah, that's kind of how that came about.
Yeah. And it's kind of, I guess, crazy how much has changed in the sport. How did you find that jump from junior to elite level? Was that quite a big thing, or was that like, oh, actually, this is, it's not too much of a gap?
It's kind of hard to say because I joined in COVID year, so there wasn't actually that many races going about. And also, like I said, I broke my leg in the May, right after the lockdown started. So I only actually did 2 races in 2020. I found the jump initially not too bad because I did train quite a lot my last year junior in kind of preparation for that. And also throughout the winter, we had a lot of training camps because I wanted to go in really prepared. And the races also at that time, kind of a long race was like 130k, whereas that's pretty standard now. So the length of races in the last 5 years has just got longer and longer and longer and longer. So I think the jump for me then was really big, but it wasn't as big as it is now because the junior races haven't got any longer, but the women's races have. So yeah, going from 70k to 130 is obviously quite a lot. But going from 70k to 160k is even bigger. So I think I was quite lucky in that sense. But obviously, I didn't get that many chances to race because by the time the races started again, I was only just starting back training from my injury. So yeah.
Yeah, like in some ways it's an unfortunate year to get an injury like first year under 23. But then I'm like, well, if it's COVID year, like it's not the worst year. Like if you had to pick a year, like no one wants to get a broken leg, but
yeah,
pick a year, it's probably the best one.
Would have been nice for it to be like an arm or a collarbone or something, but I don't do anything by half, so leg it was.
Yeah.
I spent, I think, 5 months in a cast, so it was
Wow.
It was quite a struggle because, okay, at least I wasn't seeing races on the TV constantly, but when I got back, I was worse than I was as a junior because I couldn't put any weight on my leg for, I think, 2 months. I had a cast up to my thigh, so it was quite a bad break. I'd actually done that break before when I was a bit younger, so I kind of knew what the recovery would bring. So it was hard to come back from that, and I didn't start racing until the May the following year, just to make sure that my fitness was kind of somewhat back, because obviously when you come back from a broken leg, you can't just jump straight into doing 2 hours on the bike. Like I was doing 2 lots of 15 minutes a day because I couldn't twist to unclip my leg, so I started off in trainers. It was kind of really building up slowly. You need to build up the endurance, and then you need to build up the efforts, and then you need to kind of choose a race to start back that is not too difficult, but also when it's basically your first year elite as a second year elite, it was quite a challenge, and mentally it was quite hard because I'd never not finished a race before, and then all of a sudden I was not finishing races, or I was getting dropped 4 or 5 times in a race, and I would get back in, I'd do some work, I'd get dropped again, I'd get back in, I'd do some work, and I'd get dropped again, and then all of a sudden that would be me done for the day. And to switch that mentality of like, okay, my goals for this race are to do X, Y, and Z, and if I finish, great. If I don't finish, if I've done those jobs, that's fine. To go to that from going, how am I going to win this race, is quite a challenge. And I see that in girls who've kind of lived the same situation as me. Maybe not with the injury that I had, but just in general, kind of accepting the fact that you're not the one who's, straight away at the front of the race. I see that now, but I also, the teammates that I've had have been able to chat to about it and go, okay, like your time will come. It's just how it is. And actually it teaches you a whole new perspective. I think it helps you become a better leader in the future or a better road captain, because you've actually lived every single place in the team. Like now I am more the girl who's in charge of the radio, not in charge, but who's kind of speaking more with the car in the radio and asking people to do different jobs and that kind of vibe. And I think it helps me because I have been the one who's been dropped 5 times, and I know when someone's asking you to do something and you've literally just got to the back of the bunch, I know how that feels, but I also know how it feels to be the one pulling in the front. It's been a while since I've been the one who's winning the race, but I have been there at some point, and I hope to be back there at some point. So I think it helps you become a more of a well-rounded teammate in that sense.
Yeah, definitely. And when you said about coming back and you wanting a nice kind of straightforward race, it's thinking about that must be really tricky to find a race, because the easier it is, the more kind of twitchy everyone is, because everyone thinks they've got a chance.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of need, well, you can't say Roubaix because it's brutal.
Yeah.
It means that,
and Roubaix wasn't a thing then.
Oh, of course, yeah.
No, Roubaix wasn't.
So it's
mm-hmm.
I guess you'd want something well, I want to call it Liège-Bastogne-Liège, but the women just start in Bastogne. Yeah, but you want something that's tough enough to spread everyone out without people crashing because they think they've got a chance.
Yeah,
certainly when I was coming up,
back with it was Elsie Jacobs. Then I don't know if it's still going now. I think it might be a 0.2.
I've heard of it. It's the one in Luxembourg.
Yes, exactly. So I started. It was 3 days, I think. And I got dropped multiple times every single day, but it was kind of that perfect, hard and hilly, but not too hard and not too hilly. And there was a prologue to start. So, I could go on the TT bike and I could kind of do the prologue at my own pace. And, I could go all out, but it kind of didn't matter as long as you finished. So it was a good one to start back with, but it was a shock to the system for sure.
Yeah, and actually, speaking of TT bikes, it certainly seems you're more at home on the TT bike. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'm projecting based on what I've seen in the results sheet. But you've got some really stunning TT results, and you've done the Commie Games, you've done Borzela, which you won as a junior, and then I think you got third as a.
I think something
that was on a road stage actually.
Yes, it was. I did the TT, I think, the day before. But I remember it was so horrifically windy, I couldn't even ride in the skis. So I was on the base bar going down a straight. And for a gal of my size to be on the base bar, it had to be pretty windy.
Yeah.
I do love doing TTs. The past couple of years, I, especially in my last team, have been called in quite last minute to a lot of races. So I kind of didn't have that time to really dial into my TT bike. But last year, I kind of had that time more where my calendar was a bit more consistent. And I felt really grateful that I was able to kind of train that a bit more. So I think in the next couple of years, it'll be really nice to kind of get back into that TTing and, practice them a bit more and actually race them a bit more, because there's not that many time trials in races. And I do think it's really important in stage races to actually have that, because it can change the results so much. And, I think riders should be able to do, everything, or a stage race should have everything, so that all different kinds of riders can win a stage as well. It's not just climbers winning, or it's not just sprinters winning. So I'm really looking forward to, in the next couple of years, really dialing that back in.
Yeah, and how was it to represent Wales at the Commonwealth Games then? Because again, something your mum has done she did it in Kuala Lumpur. You've done it in a bit closer to home in Birmingham.
Yeah.
So just a slight scale of difference.
Yeah, a slight.
But yeah, what was it like to represent Wales?
Yeah, it was really, really special to represent Wales. Like, knowing that my mum had done it, it was very sentimental to me, and I had all my family and friends there supporting me. So that was really, really nice. And actually, I had a lot of teammates in different countries going to the commies as well. So it was a really special experience. And, we don't get to represent Wales often. So it's something that I'll hold close to my heart for sure. And to kind of go with people that I've grown up with staff that I've grown up with in Welsh cycling was like, it felt like a family thing, which was really, really nice.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, obviously we talked about quite a few different topics, but like, where last year you stopped riding for what was Lidl Trek by then. You're now at UAE ADQ.
Yeah.
Honestly, some of the names that I find hard to remember, like when FDG, I was so glad when FDG just became FDG Suez, like so much easier than Nouvelle Aquitaine Futuroscope.
Yeah.
And like there's, some of the British teams as well have sillily long names. But like, what motivated that change? And again, like, how did that kind of situation develop? Like, did you know at the start of the year, you're like, I think I need a change at the end of this contract? Or, like, how did it all go down?
Yeah, obviously, I really enjoyed my time with Little Trek, and I had grown up with those girls, and we had a really nice group of people there, nice staff members there, but I just felt like it was time to change. I'd been 5 years in the same team. I'd gone through a lot in that team with a lot of different injuries over those years, and I just felt like I was at a point where I needed a change, and I had just that like feeling of I just need to try something else. 5 years is a long time to stay in the same place, and like I said, I just felt like I needed to kind of at least look around to see what people also thought. And you don't kind of know if people see the work that you do, if when you're a domestique, a lot of the times I wasn't actually getting to the point where my work was on TV. So you don't know if other teams actually see the kind of role that you play, or what you do to sacrifice yourself for the teams or for the leaders or that kind of things. But actually I found that people really did notice, and that was really nice. And UAE had approached Emma about talking with me, and actually at that point they also wanted to talk with Elisa, and Elisa had mentioned me to them. So it kind of ended up that she's Emma's rider as well, so Emma works with both of us, and it's not that common where like they want to talk to a rider and another rider mentions that they would recommend someone to go as well. Sorry, the dog.
Okay.
So I started having chats with Sherry Pridham, and I just really liked the vibe of that team. I really liked that actually they really wanted to improve and grow. I think they were about 5th in the rankings at that point, so they were already a really well-established team, but they had a lot of ambition to grow and to become the best team in the world. They had some input from the men's side, but they were kind of separate. But a lot of like the team building camps and stuff that we would do together, and we would mingle and, kind of get help from them in like advice from them and some of their staff members, and the same with like the training camps and stuff. So I really liked that kind of atmosphere, but I liked that it was a bit more of a close-knit family where at the end of the day we are 2 separate teams. So you kind of constantly seeing the same staff and you're seeing the same riders, and I really liked that family sense, and I just liked their kind of ambition to grow and to get better and to sign riders who are really committed to their roles, and the fact that they really respected domestiques, and the riders that they signed really respected domestiques, but also the fact that they wanted to help me still improve and grow. And they saw that I am still young, because some people feel like I've been in the sport a long time, and sometimes I feel like that too. But I'll be 24 next week, so I still have a lot of time to grow and to improve myself and to kind of win some races, not just be a helper, although I do really enjoy that role. So I think they saw that in me, and they saw the drive and the commitment that I had, and I really valued that.
Yeah, and as soon as you said like people feel like I've been in sport forever, I'm like, yeah, I'm probably one of them, actually, because
it will be my 7th year next year, and I don't feel old enough.
That's crazy. It's like,
to be my 7th year.
The thing is, you're born in a completely different millennium from me.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what it was like. We had there's people teaching my kids who didn't experience the lunar eclipse in '99.
Yeah.
I could tell you exactly where I was that day. It was a really early morning, and I was down on a farm in Cornwall, and the Millennium Bug, that was a huge thing as well. They thought computers would shut down because it couldn't cope with going from 99 to 2000.
Yeah, like 2001. So
I know, you missed out on so much good lore, by the way. But young people, hey, I tell you. But yeah, you mentioned that you're kind of in that domestique role.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a kind of couple of questions.
Yeah.
On that, firstly, how do you measure success? What is success for you when you consider bike riding?
Ooh, that's a good question. No one's actually ever asked that before. I think for me, success is doing your role to the absolute best of your ability or exceeding that, and giving 100% of what you've got, whether that's 100% one day can be 80% of the next day, but that's your 100% on that day. And I've grown up being told, no matter what you do, you just give 100%. Or if you've got more than 100%, then that's your new 100%. You just really commit to everything. And I think that's what makes me a really good teammate, is that I will sacrifice myself inside out for people, but I also expect that in return. And I think, success is just is doing that, just giving you 100%, whether that means you win, whether that means you fail or you lose, or we do that as a team in this team. And I think that's really great. Nobody, whether I commit myself 100%, and Elisa, for example, she doesn't win, that doesn't mean that we haven't won if she's given her 100%, but also we're there to kind of help her with that, what she may view as a defeat in that moment, because I know she takes the weight of that role very seriously. But also I can see then the things that I've done well. So I think everybody should have their personal sorry, my dog's crying. Personal goals during a race. That's just my view of success.
As you may be able to guess, we had some dog-related tech issues at this point, so we had a quick pause, pun not intended at all. But if you are enjoying it so far, do give us a like and make sure you're subscribed, because that really helps things grow, helps YouTube and Spotify know that you're enjoying it and that you want to see more of it, and other people might want to see more of it. So yeah, definitely do those things if you can. And yeah, on with the show.
Sorry about those tech issues. These things happen, so thank you for bearing with me on that. I was going to ask the other question to my two-parter on domestiquing is how do you see your kind of rider type? Because as you said, sometimes your work goes unseen. A lot of domestiques, it's kind of that weird role within a race, because it's invaluable. And I think a good domestique has a job for life almost, because everyone who's riding goes, oh yeah, they're a great domestique.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we want her on my team,
Mm-hmm.
but the people at home don't get to see that.
Yeah.
But like, how? Yeah, I guess how do you define your rider type as well? Of like, because you mentioned that Baston Liège is a bit too much in terms of hills.
Yeah.
We've talked about your prowess on a time trial bike. So like, yeah, where do you see your strengths lying? Sorry for the really long question.
No, that's fine. I would really struggle to define who I am or how I am as a rider. I think, time trialing is definitely a strength for me. The classics is definitely a strength for me. Like, I'd really love to go for Roubaix one year. I've really, really enjoyed that race. And last year was my first kind of go of being a later domestique in that race. And I think I really showed that in the future I'm capable of doing well there. The flatter races is more my sort. I would say more like a longer endurance power rider. Depana, I love the crosswinds, those kind of races. And like you said, a domestique role. I think actually it's only the last couple of years where teams have started to pay attention to domestiques, and that's kind of become more of a career, because before there was no visibility for domestiques doing roles, and if you weren't winning, you didn't get the best wage, which means you'd need a second job. And it's only recently where that's actually been something that teams have started paying well. So I think I'm at a point where I'm really grateful that people are seeing the value in the work that other riders are doing, because I think it creates less of like an animosity in the riders, because the riders aren't thinking, well, I actually need to get a result because I need a contract next year, or
It's all good.
Because because then they're getting the visibility that they should get, and they're being paid appropriately. So I think it really helps with like unity of teams, for everybody to be paid consistently to what they're worth in each role. I would like to kind of get to a point where I am kind of being more at the front in those races, like, especially in some of the smaller races, getting the chance to kind of go for the end, do some more lead outs. And that's something that I'm finally getting the strength back to be able to do after a lot of injuries. So I think these next couple of years will be like a big push for that. But I also really enjoy working for the leaders, especially in races where I know that it's not my strength, but I know that I can give everything to take such a big weight off the leader's shoulders. Like, for example, in Flesh 2 years ago, when the weather was really, 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 really bad, I was working for Elisa, and I went back to the car, I think 5 or 6 times to get gloves, hot tea, jackets, more gloves. And, she was so beyond grateful, and it makes my work so worth it. First of all, when they're grateful, but also when she gets to the finish line and she says to me, my sports bra was dry. That's how well you did your job, was that you brought me so many jackets that, I wasn't cold, I wasn't wet, I was dry underneath all those layers, and that played such a factor in me getting the podium that I got. And that kind of thing, when people are so grateful and they see the fact that you sacrifice yourself for them, like, it makes it worth it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like, one note or one result that sort of stuck out was your most recent one, actually, in Guangxi, getting the top 5 in a World Tour race. Like, how close were you? I must admit, I didn't look fully at the results or what went down in that race, but like, how close to victory were you? And do you think, like, if things went differently, you might have had a chance of getting that top step? Or
I think no, mostly because there was a 2-rider breakaway which went on the climb. And the climb was extremely steep. I think it was like 1.5 Ks at 11% average or something, which is quite out of my depth, really. And there was kind of an attack when a group kind of stayed, and I got dropped from the group, and I managed to chase back on the descent and get myself to that group. And then because I haven't been really in that situation for quite a while, I launched my sprint quite early because I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to go for it. And I got rolled by, I think, 2 people in the sprint. So, I maybe could have got third on that day. But the climbs had taken so much out of me that was really the best I could do. I gave absolutely everything I had on that day. And the fact that I was there, fighting for the end, because there was a lot of illness before that race. So I was actually in that race alone. We started with 3 riders, one who was sick, and the other, she was like me, it was far, far too hilly for us. So I was actually, from the second lap of that race, I was by myself. So every attack that went, I had to chase by myself. There was one attack that I had to bridge across to with 2 other riders, and they had teammates in the front, so I had to do that mostly by myself. So maybe if there had been a couple of other girls there, I could have done slightly better. But also maybe if they'd been there, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to race for myself. So, I really enjoyed racing that day, and I really enjoyed kind of the result that I got. I gave absolutely everything that I had, and it kind of gave me the glimpse of what can happen if I do get that chance. And I think it was really nice that Sherry was so excited for me and giving me so much support. When I was getting dropped over the hill, they were screaming so much in the radio. They were beeping the horn behind me to give me all that motivation, and she really wanted to see me succeed that day. And, I think success for us on that day was a 5th place. And if we'd have gone into that race saying, you know what, you're going to get 5th today, I probably wouldn't have believed them. So, yeah, it was a really good day.
Oh, awesome. And yeah, riding solo is so UFA coded. It's just brings me back so many memories of just, seeing what you can do on your own is it's tough though.
Yes,
certainly when you're
tough.
at world tour level,
yeah,
you shouldn't be racing alone, but
a lot of people were racing alone that day. There was a lot of illness, but it was a really fun day.
Oh, nice. So we're coming towards the end. We're approaching the hour mark, which is quite incredible. I guess one question I have, which I like throwing in, is well, hopefully I'm using this term rightly, but I'll create a Faustian bargain with you that you can win one more race for the rest of your career. That's it. You get one race, you can win it, and then that's it. You're never going to win another race again. What are you picking?
Roubaix.
As easy as that.
Yeah. There's nothing better, really, is there? Besides the Tour de France, and I think that would be a challenge for me to win the Tour de France.
Yeah, well, see, that's the thing, is this is so hypothetical. Why not? Do you know what I mean? You can dream anything happening.
Yeah.
But I like Roubaix.
Yeah, there's something special. The first year that I did Roubaix was also my sister's first year, and it was also my dad's first year as a DS in the team.
Yeah.
And I got dropped early on because my role was to lead into the first sector. So once again, you didn't see that on the TV, but I did. I got our team 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into the cobbles, and after that, I hung on for dear life for the next 3 or 4 sectors. And then that was me in a group with a couple of other girls at that point. And I came into the velodrome, maybe 15 minutes behind. But I was so emotional because it holds such history, first of all, in general, but second of all, in our family. And to kind of have everyone, my whole family was there. My husband was there. My mum was there. Obviously, my dad was in the car. My sister was racing. So it was such a special day. And kind of every time I race that race, I just kind of get extra emotions that I don't really have in some other races. So yeah, it is a really special race to me.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And like,
Yeah.
I do find it a little cruel though that they're like, "Oh, well done for winning this really grueling bike race. Here's a massive lump of stone that you have to
That
put
you now
over your
need to
head."
lift
Like,
above your head. Yeah.
yeah,
And they're
it's like,
heavy.
well, great.
Like they are, going on like almost 10 kilos. So it's
Really?
heavy.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's the last thing you need when you're absolutely shot at the end.
I think you
like,
find the strength if you've won.
just as a topper to that, would you want to win it in a sprint or win solo?
Oh, I haven't really thought about that because I think just winning in general would be great, but I think solo would be extra special.
Yeah, just so you
Yeah.
can, I guess, so you can enjoy that lap of the velodrome, eh?
Exactly, yeah. And you haven't got that worry of what if, but then that brings like that extra bit of excitement. So, yeah, I think solo would be nice.
Yeah, that's good. So yeah, final question then is just how can people follow you on socials, keep up with all your goings on, and see where you're racing, etc.
I need to find my handle because I don't actually know it off the top of my head. My Instagram is Elynor_Bäckstedt, and my, do we call it Twitter now or X?
Your choice.
Backstedt6 is my Twitter. I'm more active on Instagram, so that's probably the best place to find me. If not via the team's socials, UAE Team ADQ. And I'll be at races if you want to come say hey.
Nice. Well, all of those will have been up on screen about 10 seconds ago.
Perfect.
As they were mentioned, I would have put them on screen. So this is a note to myself as editor as well, if I make it this far. All that's left to say is thank you so much for a lovely chat, and I can't wait to see what this season brings.
Yeah, me too. I'm super excited.
Well, there you go. I hope you enjoyed the episode. It's always lovely to chat to a rider as passionate as Elynor is. So, yeah, I hope that passion came through. And, well, we look forward to hearing and chatting with other riders soon. And until then, let's enjoy the ride.